My name is Cody Cole. I am 25 years old. I've been working with Joey for 8 or 9 years. I believe after my freshman year of football, pretty much every off season I had, or in high school during season as well, I was always with Joey. If I had somebody that was skeptical about working out with you, I would just tell them to meet you. I think you sell yourself in a way just by who you are that I don't really have to say much other than just to go see them. You make it simple, you show love, and you just care about what the person wants, what makes them happy. That's all it takes. I mean, you are more than just about muscles. I mean, you care about that overall health. I didn't know what flexibility was until I met you, so that was pretty cool. Meditation, things like that, I got out of my circle. Those are just a few things. I don't know, I get sweaty talking about it because get all sensitive inside. Well, I'll say the simpler route for the simpler side of things in me was the athletic part when it comes to high school and college. I just played football. I played basketball as well in high school, but football, I did well. I had some, I was all-state, both offensive, defensively, earned a scholarship, and immediately I committed to ASU. I had a pretty rough first year, but after that, I mean, I grew up and I just started playing, had a good time, played a lot of football, but I think the biggest thing about I think I became a better person, a bigger person through high school to college. I think I grew up a lot. I think a lot of it has to do with actually Joey, just showing me love constantly and always being there for me. Always wanted what I wanted. Even if you wanted to hold back and say, you don't need to play football, you don't need it, but knew I could do it. That showed his true heart and everything. So I think I just grew as a better person throughout that time more than an athlete. I don't think I'm just an athlete. So I remember I was down the ditches after I had my shoulder surgery. I just thought I couldn't do anything. I thought my shoulder would be hurt forever. And when it was when we were in break for school, I went to O.P.T. and I got on the bike and started getting to work, and we just had conversation, and somehow I found just as much of a sweat with one arm out, can't lift anything with both. I mean, I still got my work in, and that was probably, there was a cool picture we had on there too and everything. Those are my sweats. That was a really good time for me. That was a uplifting moment. My first collegiate touchdown, I went to Joey's previously, I think 2 days before. That was my first year starting. We were talking about how I earned my starting position and how I came over obstacles. I think I was young still mentally. My confidence was still kind of low. And so we kept talking, and he had brought up how he thought this is the game I was gonna get my touchdown. I believe it was the 3rd or 4th game in the season. It was it was kind of a trick play. They faked it one way, and I went across the field to the other side. Nobody was there, and Joey was just saying this is the one. And I remember when they called the play, I knew I was getting a touchdown. It was the blackout too. I think it was my first blackout game at ASU, and it was my first touchdown. I think 3rd game of the year or something. One of the best feelings in the world. I looked so buff in that moment when they took pictures. I don't know, it was pretty crazy that, he called it. He called it. That was crazy. We're in the red zone. I cut the player, go across. Everyone's running the other way. I'm running past them, and I just turned my shoulder, ball's in my hand. And I got my first collegiate touchdown. And I kept getting touchdowns after that. Not a bunch, but it just was, that was my first new thing. It was I remember how long it took, some players to get it, and I got it in my 2nd season. And I think I got that call because Joey had the faith in me. We worked for that touchdown, man. That was crazy. When it comes to me being an athlete, I think the best thing, or the biggest thing I came up with or developed was my mentality. And I believe that started in high school. In high school, I was supposed to be good, you know, and I was good, but I think people didn't believe I deserved a D1 scholarship to ASU. And I got it my junior season, so I played a whole senior season with it. And I was just hated on. I was doubted, players talking trash. Still, I had a good season, but that stuff kind of got to me. And I think it made me a more of an angry player. Not an angry person, but when I was playing, I was angry. Which in football, that's good most of the time, but you're supposed to have fun as well. That happened, and I had gone into ASU with a big mentality that I was gonna start my first season, I was gonna be the best player. And it ended up not happening. Like there was better players. I mean, I got showed up, and it was just a realistic situation. So I redshirted, and I had to stay in the dorms, and it was one of the, probably at one point, I was like ready to quit. It was just, I mean, they ran us. I dreaded running, like conditioning. I dreaded everything. It was so hard. I had a hard time waking up and getting to work. I sold it in my head that it was the hardest thing in the world. I made it through that year, that camp, and after my freshman year, we were in camp and I was doing really well. I was getting confidence, I was becoming better, I was getting happier because I was performing well. And ended up having a big hit, popped my shoulder out and tore my labrum off of one hit. And I ended up having to get surgery, and that really put me in the ditches. I lost all this weight. And I think my body has never been the same ever since that shoulder injury. I mean, I've always had compensation injuries, my hips, my back, my knees, my Achilles even, my feet, you name it. And going through that whole surgery and just recovering, it was one of the harder things I ever did. I mean, it hurt, but just learning to like slow down and not be 110% at everything was difficult. You didn't sleep the same. I couldn't practice. And I was actually okay with it because football at the time I was pretty still over football. So, but I ended up having to go to camp, and they said I was full go. I was scared to death I would ruin my shoulder again. And they just kept pushing me and making me hit. And that's when I decided I was done. I basically called my parents, I called everyone, and I was like, I'm done, I'm out. Called my coaches, and they wouldn't, I was done, I was defeated. So my coaches had me come in because my daddy begged me not to quit because I was giving up free scholarship, I was giving up a great opportunity to play football and live a good life. I would have to go to work, you know, like he didn't want that for me. So I went and met with my coaches for him, and they ended up just talking to me, and I just told them I was like scared of showing up for football and stuff. And they said they'd do what they can, the best they can, to make me feel better. And they did. They worked really hard at just working with me. When I said something, they would listen. And as soon as I got through that year or that camp, I ended up being a starter, and everything, my whole mentality changed. And they just made it funner for me. And after that, I just wanted to work. I wanted to get better. I wanted to be a better player. I wanted to be the best. And that was just, I don't know what happened necessarily. Maybe I just was, because I was finally happy again playing football, that I decided it was all in. Even after that, I still had tight ends that didn't believe I earned it to be starter and whatnot. There was always doubters, and I believe a lot of players have that. But it's an obstacle you have to get over. And I mean, it wasn't too rough because I believe I proved myself and I worked for it. So there wasn't even doubt. And I'd advise other people to work with Joey because he'll believe in you too. Like, he just believes in people's dreams, and he believes in that people want to work hard. And although Joey doesn't have the biggest facility and all this stuff, he makes it work. He makes things, you work on things that you're supposed to work on as an athlete or whatever you're doing. Like, he doesn't make things up. It's not just brute strength or just anything. It's making you an all-around better player. And then he asks you questions like, how are you? How's your day? How's life? Like, you don't get that from most people. You don't get that from most trainers. They just want the bucks. You got somebody that actually cares about your mentality, like how you're actually doing in life. If you have depression, he'll help you. I mean, he does meditation now, and he has more tools than he had before when he was with me, but I still felt all the love. Like, I show up, how's your day, man? Like, how's school? And then we talk about movies or something. It's just conversation, just be your friend. And I mean, Joey's like a brother to me. He's been there since young buck, I mean, forever. I think birth, basically. But, I mean, I've seen him do it to everybody. Anybody that walked in O.P.T. or anyone he meets on the street. He talks to homeless people. Like, he's a genuine person that has the education to make you a better player in the healthiest way possible. He's professional, but also, like, he'll joke around, he'll tease you, but it's all love at the end of the day. Like, it's not so often you get upset, but you tease each other. There might be smack talk, challenging. I mean, try and get on a treadmill with him. He'll challenge you. I mean, he's just real. He'll work out with you. If you can't, just ride it up. If you want him to train you, he'll train you. If you want to just get a workout and do it yourself, you ride it up. You get something you don't get everywhere. Like, a lot of training places, they don't do what he does. I mean, they might just do straight lifting or straight running, while we're doing running and lifting, because that makes you better at both, and you're doing circuits instead of just one lift at a time. It made me the most conditioned athlete in probably the D1. I was doing 90 plays a game, or like 100, and I'm going. Like, I was never 90%. I was injured all the time, but that's not it. Like, that's just, I was able to run and keep up, and I wasn't the fastest athlete, but I didn't tire first. And I got that instilled from Joey, like, when it came to conditioning and the big, small, you have the bigs, you have the skill position, and then you have the medium-sized people or whatever, I forget what they call them. But I was running with the smaller guys and doing their times, and that was just something instilled at O.P.T. is to be conditioned, and it came naturally because of O.P.T. All right, so he made me a great athlete. He helped me a lot and helped me with all my flexibility and stuff, but in the mental game, he also taught me this happened recently too. We were talking, and he was telling me that in me, he saw that I had anger towards people or resentment or just for some odd reason, and I probably do. Like, I know I do. Like, I just see people slacking away, and I literally am like, what are you doing? Like, get out of the gym. And it's unnecessary. And I remember he was telling me, like, you don't know what they're going through. You know, like, just love people. Just try and put yourself in their shoes if they're going through a situation. And it kind of stuck with me. Like, I had been in a situation recently, like, at work, and I was really frustrated at this person. I was like talking smack in my head about him, and we talked about it. He's like, you don't know if he even loves being there either. Like, and I never even like thought of it that way. Like, that guy's going through a rough time probably too, but I was being selfish and just thinking about me. And so, I mean, he opened up me to like see another side of people and just be kind-hearted.